Lesson 11. Moving to a peaceful town.
I've made up my mind, Sue. I want to live in a place that's not so busy.
Shopping for houses behind my back, I see. Where is this place?
I've heard about this little town only a few miles away. It's peaceful, with houses neatly placed around a round lake, and many of them have a round pool in the backyard.
Nice. A place where I can wear my new swimwear. But John, we've only been here a short time. You want to move after such a brief period?
I'm sure. We've made a good life in the city, but I'm a countryman at heart.
You'll miss the city life after a while.
Maybe, but let's make plans to visit that town tomorrow and see how we feel after.
Okay, but we can't keep hopping from place to place. We need to place our home in a place where we can feel settled.
I know, and I'll have your back in this. Let's take this little by little, one round at a time.
Okay, if we don't like living there, we can always move back.
Great. We're not only exploring a new place, but we're also finding out where we truly want to live.
But remember, John, don't back out at the last minute.
I won't, Sue. I promise to man up and stay committed.
Lesson 12. Every year's talent show.
Every year, our school hosts a talent show. Last year, I came up with a new dance routine. My parents came and they were proud of me for trying. I thought it was really good, but everyone told me I looked crazy. Seeing the confusion on everyone's faces gave me a reality check. My name's Tracy, but after my dance performance, they gave me a nickname, Dancing Monkey. Fortunately, the talent show is not just about winning. It's about showing and sharing our hobbies with everyone. Every contestant does our best to prepare. We believe that our hours of effort are worthwhile, whether the result is good or bad. My act was named under the Most Creative Act category. That encouraged me to work harder for this year's event. I'm looking forward to seeing the talent that will come under the spotlight this year. I also look forward to seeing what new vendors will come. It will do good for our school if the vendors have good goods for sale.
Lesson 13. Do you like writing?
I think writing is a great way to express oneself. Just last week, I took a writing class that was very helpful. We were taught to think through every sentence and consider its form. A well-formed sentence can convey thoughts with great clarity. And just the right word can make a good sentence great. It is not just about using fancy language. Sometimes low-complexity words are better. I went through the process initially struggling to form cohesive sentences, but with some help, I saw improvement. A low point was when I failed to form a sentence correctly. Well, my instructor didn't sentence me to punishment. He was just there to help. He said, "Take it sentence by sentence. You'll get there." I threw a lot of drafts in the trash before the class was through. I've learned that practice, not just talent, forms a great writer. I must say, the class left a great impression on me. It was like a roller coaster, going through a long tunnel with highs and lows, but it's very rewarding.
Lesson 14. Mom, I'm moving out.
Mom, I'm moving out!
The boy announced.
Oh boy, what's the cause of this decision?
His mom asked.
The fact that my opinions differ from you and Dad. And this is the right time for me to make a turn in my life,
He replied.
Before you make a move, consider the result. It will cause much change in your life.
She cautioned.
I've thought about it much, Mom. I know things will be different. I think the difference will be good. It will let me experience the world differently. You taught me to do what I think is right, and well, the answer is right in front of me. It's my turn to decide my own life. I even have an apartment lined up already.
I see your mind is decided. Maybe you're right, and you have the right to move. But remember to line your decisions with careful thought. The line of consequences isn't always straight.
What do you mean?
He asked.
It may turn unexpectedly before you reach your destination. But since you're doing what you think is right, we'll support you,
She said.
That's not asking for much.
Thank you, Mom. I don't mean to be mean.
The boy said, hugging his mom tightly.
I know.
She replied.
We've talked about this before.
Lesson 15. Cafe Talk.
Hey, do you remember that old song from 3 years ago?
The one about throwing her ex-boyfriend down the old well on his birthday because he became too old?
Yep, all the girls in town had the identical favorite song, Too Funny. I guess their feelings were similar.
Well, I want to throw my boyfriend down a well sometimes too.
That's terrible. Hey, does your brother still have a set of their CDs?
You bet he does. It set him back $100. He'll keep it forever. But other than that, we don't share the same interests. He loves the outdoors, the fresh air, and drinking water from the well, but I want to stay indoors and drink soda.
So you never want to join him on his adventures?
Nope. He sets the pace of everything, and it's too fast for me. He's always telling me to keep up.
That sounds like a tough situation, but you get along well.
Well, sometimes it's well enough that we care about each other's well-being.
Lesson 16. Playing in a play.
I remember when I helped my friend have a play at his home. My acting role was small, but I feel like my contribution was large. I wasn't the lead actor, but I lent a hand to the actors from backstage. It was my job to read the script and to put the props away. I would hand the main actors the props they needed, and also hand out refreshments at the end of the play. My favorite prop was a hand-painted backdrop of a port. I put a lot of effort into my small role. To end each day, I would go home and read the script again and again. I must have read the script 100 times. It was a lot of work, but I was proud to play my part. And the applause we received at the end made it a good event to end the summer with. We didn't plan for it, but we ended up making some wonderful memories.
Lesson 17. A hiking adventure.
During the weekend, Jane decided to follow a new hiking trail. The spell of the wild forest enchanted her. Here in the great outdoors, she felt free to follow her dreams. She thought,
I must be careful with such uneven land.
there were big rocks, high cliffs, and tall trees. Despite such challenges, Jane still decided to follow the path. She was surprised by the sound of a rabbit dashing into the nearby brush.
I hear a hairy hare here.
She thought to herself. She took out her map to add some notes. She wrote notes on the odd-numbered pages and drew pictures on the even-numbered pages. The landmark she drew was a big waterfall so grand that it even seemed unreal. As she drew, her pencil suddenly fell. It landed on the map and unexpectedly marked a high point. She thought,
How odd. It must have a mind of its own. What's next? Will it spell the name of this waterfall?
the land beckoned her to explore even further. That is the spell of the great outdoors. Things such as this keep you wanting more.
Lesson 18. Traveling light.
John was still awake packing for a trip when the early morning light came in the window. His friend Mark asked,
"Why are you packing so many heavy books? Do you want to be the world's strongest man? You should pack something light instead."
John replied,
"I need them for my research. I can't keep putting off my studies and change my materials on a whim." "I get it,"
Mark said, squinting at the bright light.
"But the books are off-putting due to their weight. Your suitcase won't be light. It'll be really heavy."
John laughed.
"You're right, Mark. It's not the kindest thing to do to my back. I'll make a change to my packing strategy.
So John went through his stack of books and took some off the top. He found digital versions instead.
"See, that's a smart action,"
Mark remarked.
I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. If I said men can't be stubborn, I would be acting, I suppose."
John said, finally turning off the light.
"With this kind of planning, you won't have a need for a chiropractor when you return from your trip."
Mark joked as the bright light of dawn filled the room.
Lesson 19. Living a harmonious life.
When I was young, my mother and I lived in a small house near the edge of the forest. Every now and then, a curious animal would come near. I would try to picture what the world would be like if we could talk with animals. I frequently painted pictures of this imaginary world where humans and animals lived together in harmony. My mother thought this pointed to my vivid imagination and would say,
"If you think you can talk to animals, give it a try."
One day, an injured bird lost its way and ended up in our house. We decided to house it until it was healthy enough to fly again. It was an exciting point in my life. I tried again and again to talk to that little bird without success, although I felt like there was a connection between us. My mother always made a point to be kind to all living beings. Now, as I look back, I realize that her teachings were on point. Achieving this vision of harmony is difficult, but I believe it is worth a try. And every time I see a house with a garden near a forest, it brings me back to that world I pictured as a child, where all of us, humans and animals, lived in harmony.
Lesson 20. Building a building.
Once upon a time in a small country, a father decided to build a tree house for his daughter. He thought that she should own a place to read, dream, and rest her head. He headed to the backyard where an old oak tree stood. He started to work on the first page of his treehouse blueprint. Every day he would stand on the stand and nail the wooden boards. His daughter watched him with excitement.
"Father, can I help?"
she asked. He smiled and nodded.
"Of course, I should head the team, and you can be my helper."
After weeks of building the building, the house began to take shape. It had a great view of the fields and the earth around their house. His daughter painted the building by herself, using shades of blue and green that reminded her of the earth. When the work was done, the father looked at his building with pride. He felt the warmth of satisfaction build within his heart. He had given his daughter a space of her own, a place she could retreat to for self-reflection. One evening, he watched her head to the treehouse to put her books on the stand in her reading room. He knew he made the right choice. He thought to himself,
"We should all do our part to build the world around us, to make it a better place. It begins with our own hands, on our own patch of earth. That's how we stand for creating a better future for the next generation."